You're listening to The Real Short Box, a comic book podcast made for geeks by geeks.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for coming out and listening to The Real Short Box. My name is Donald.
My name is Donald. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, we're keeping that.
Yeah.
Actually, my name is now Kevin.
Oh, I can throw my voice and sound different, too. I'm a chameleon, actually.
Yes, you are. And I'm Darren, by the way. Wasn't the chameleon in Amazing Spider-Man #1?
Yes, that's his first appearance.
1963.
That's some good trivia right there.
Talking about, like, seminal type of issues, we are actually, this is a very special moment for us here at the Real Short Box. This is our 100th podcast episode.
And they all rejoiced.
100.
There's rioting in the streets. It's amazing.
And we can hear all you listeners out there just blowing your stacks right now.
Yep.
Wondering how in the world
Or
did
your
we get
loads.
this far? How did we make it to 100 episodes?
Right? Sheer determination.
Sheer will.
Yes. Kind of the same thing. Anyway,
You know, if each of us are 100, that would equal 300.
Yes. Triple.
and issue 300 of Amazing Spider-Man is
That's a
the
very special issue.
first appearance of
The full appearance of Venom.
You know, it's interesting because I was thinking about, our muscles being airbrushed in that 300 movie.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
that's
By the way, in real life, your muscles are kind of airbrushed, sir.
Well,
Yeah, remember when I did this costume once. I don't if our listeners watch the movie Legend, the one where Tim Curry played that devil character. I think he's Lord Darkness or something.
Mm-hmm.
I cosplayed as that one year for Halloween, and I did literally paint on abs. I had them airbrushed onto my stomach.
That guy scared me when I was a little kid.
He scared everybody when you were a little kid.
So I think we're going to tackle our favorite number 100 issues.
Yes, we are. We're going to discuss our favorite number 100s for that very special 100th podcast that we have right now. I don't know. I got no. We don't have any of that music. We used to.
We used to, but we don't want to get
There's a
sued.
noisemaker.
Well, we just say cue that music. And we're back.
Yay!
Music was cute, I think.
So cute.
Yes, that was adorable music.
It
Was there a
is.
kitten in there?
Yeah, it was being chased by Alf.
Oh yes.
Oh, good
Alf,
Alf.
who did not make it to 100 issues. He made it to 50, which is kind of remarkable.
Impressive.
If you think about it, yes.
Very impressive.
What may we praise Gordon Shumway?
Yeah.
Yes.
Even on the front of the cover, it said Alf, and then it said canceled, like a stamp across it. And Alf's looking at it like a big poster cover, and he's looking up at it, and he's like, "Ha! They kill me."
Well, at least they have a sense of humor.
Yeah. Well, I would hope so. It's Alf,
It's Alf, alien life form.
alien life form.
Now,
So
let's start with you, Donald. What was one of your favorite 100
okay.
issues?
So 100 issues is a big deal. 100 issues is over 4 years in the comic book world.
More
that's-
than that, actually. That's more like...
Well, if you're doing 12 issues
Oh,
a
yeah.
year,
Yeah.
and you're doing 4,
That's, like a little
that's
more than
96.
A little more than 8 years, yeah.
that's 96 at 4 years.
Yes.
Where's your math coming?
It's a seminal accomplishment, folks.
Yeah.
And not everybody necessarily releases an issue a month either. Some are every 2
That's
to 3
true.
months.
That's true.
And sometimes, if you're Robert Kirkman or Brian Michael Bendis or somebody like that, you can just do 75 issues in a month of all kinds of different things.
Very
and
prolific.
yes. And actually, speaking of Robert Kirkman, my 100th issue is The Walking Dead.
okay.
Very key and very tragic issue.
I wanted to highlight this because I thought it was a pretty important part of the Walking Dead history. Not only for the introduction of the character of Negan, but also for some deaths that occur during the issue. Basically, It's all about Rick and Michonne and all the people there, Carl and Maggie and Sophia and all everybody. Basically, they're trying to battle these characters called the Saviors. Now, they've been doing this for a couple issues. They've been battling back and forth and trying to fight them because they think that they can win and defeat the Saviors and will be the heroes of the day, and they can help out all these other communities because all these other communities are basically being ruled by a tyrant named Negan. So they decided they're going to get to, use their usual tactics that they always do to help a community out, and they were going to, band together. It didn't go as planned, and it definitely did not work as expected. Negan was a couple steps ahead of him, which surprised everyone, including the readers, because usually if you're like, oh, Rick Grimes, he's got this in the bag. Yeah. Him and Michonne, they'll just do it up and it's done. But that's not the way it went. At the end, they line up the Saviors they capture and line up Rick, Carl, Glenn, Maggie, Sophia, Michonne, and Heath and put them on their knees before Negan. Now, a lot of people have already seen the television series. This is very similar. The big difference is that in the TV series, Abraham was in there.
And I called that too.
And they killed Abraham in the television series at the same time that they killed Glenn. Right. So you don't have that in this. Abraham's already passed.
Yeah, 2 issues earlier.
Yeah, he passed a couple issues before. And so it was just basically Glenn that took the full force of Negan's bat, Lucille, which is for those who haven't seen, it's a baseball bat that's covered in barbed wire.
And it's called Lucille?
Yes.
It's just like B.B. King's guitar, actually. Yes. Yeah, it's hilarious.
Yep, you want to know how he got the name Lucille?
I do not.
For the guitar?
I'm trying to remember. Yeah. I knew it one time. B.B. King's great, but for some reason
that is about a 7-minute long song for him to discuss that. I'm not going to spoil it for anybody. I recommend that you seek it out because it is a very, very good song. But back to The Walking Dead. So he has Lucille, and he wraps Glenn on top of the head, a good one. Caves in his skull, pops out his eye.
Yep.
The first hit. Now, Glenn's pretty much brain damaged at that point, and he's trying to call out, Maggie, and then he hits him a couple more times and just basically eliminates him by beating him to a bloody pulp, yeah. So, the book pretty much ends there with Rick and Maggie and all of them crying and defeated.
Revenge.
Oh, yeah, Rick did shout out to Negan. He said, I swear... and let me be precise here. I'm going to kill you. Not today, not tomorrow, but I will kill you. And then
he takes Carl too.
Negan's like tells him that he won't, and as his best, he's his best chance right now in life. He also threatens, Negan threatens to have his men gang rape Carl if Rick continues to act defiantly. So. Not only does he bust up Glenn and just annihilate him, kill him, he decides to threaten rape on his son, on Rick's son.
His last remaining blood relative.
Yeah, so pretty fucked up because he has that eye hole from the eye patch. And I'm just saying, if they're gonna rape him, there's all kinds of things you could do with all kinds. That kid has an extra hole.
Right, and we've talked Walking Dead on this podcast before. One thing that's always interesting to me, I always thought that for the television series, Negan had a great advertising campaign because, as we remember when we were discussing our indie heroes and villains, we're all Governor fans here. Mm-hmm, now, you think it's fair to say, honest, and I probably know the answer, that Governor has a better run in this comic series than Negan?
That's complicated.
Yeah, it's a little complicated.
The reason it's complicated is because, spoiler alerts for those that haven't read the comic, Negan becomes almost an anti-hero eventually in the comic. He takes a turn, and we get to learn what created
him,
evil Negan, what formed that, and why.
Yeah, tragedy.
Right, a lot of tragedy. So we see that, and we get to learn the character a little more. And even though he's a mean son of a bitch and he killed Glenn and, you know, he's done so many horrible things, you're kind of rooting for him. And it's weird to do. So Negan's a completely different bird in that aspect than what the governor is. The governor, and that's probably a lot of the reason why I see the governor as more evil, was because while the governor's run was shorter lived, he did much more evil things in that little bit of time. So basically that's the 100th issue. That's it's pretty simplistic in what happens, as all Walking Dead issues are, to be honest. But it's a solid read, and it's a seminal issue for the fact that Glenn bites the dust, and we thought that Glenn was going to live forever. We really all did. And at this point, it was telling us, the reader, that if Glenn can bite it, no one is safe. Even Rick Grimes can die. And that's what worried everybody. And everybody then gripped tight to their issues, to their comics. It was like, oh no. Plus, they did 6 different covers or something like that crazy?
Oh, good lord, yeah. I say more than that. I remember at one point I think I had a pack of 12 different...
Yeah, just a ridiculous amount of variant covers and stuff
They
they
exploited the public, let's put it that way.
Absolutely, they did. That's what they do best.
They went a little 90s. Oh, let's just make all these...
Well, they are
covers.
Image, you know.
Indeed.
That's a pretty strong number 100. I wish mine were as strong as that one. Mine is just a little different.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of like grade school, right? I brought my show and tell over here. Amazing Spider-Man number 100.
Oh, snap, crackle, pop.
Yes, released in 1971. This issue...
I wasn't even born.
None of us were.
You were. Kevin, you were born. You're old as shit.
Wow. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so back to Amazing Spider-Man 100. Now, Amazing Spider-Man 100, we'll go through the positives of this. I love the cover. I happened to just, the guys actually paged through just before we started here, and it's in really good shape. The cover just has faces, black and white faces of basically people from Spider-Man's past.
Almost like a negative. Like you would see a negative. You know, you would see the negative of film.
Yes.
It almost looks like that of all the villains in this.
Yes, they're in the background, whereas Spider-Man is in his actual, red and blue colors in the foreground. Yeah, and this artwork here is by Romita. I just always love Romita's artwork on these Silver Age / Bronze Age Spider-Man issues. But the significance of this is the way that this issue begins is that Peter Parker is actually getting bored being Spider-Man. He starts off by... apprehending some, typical insert gangster here, very easy for him. And he's like, I just don't get the rush out of this that I used to. And he had been toiling with a serum that could quite possibly reverse his mutation. So he basically comes to this conclusion in his mind that he is in love with Gwen Stacy. That's all he can think of right now is Gwen Stacy.
Aww.
And he's like, I must take the serum. So he takes the serum and immediately causes pain to him, and he kind of, falls asleep. He knocks out.
Diarrhea.
There you go. Has to go with the black cover. But the thing is that once he does that, he goes into basically like dreamland, and then you get into this very that's what I'm looking for here. Very nostalgic revisit through previous Spider-Man villains. You see the Vulture attacks him. Dr. Octopus attacks him. The Green Goblin attacks him. And all of this is happening while he's, and Lizard as well, because he's trying to follow a voice. And he's basically following this voice everywhere he gets to. The Kingpin is the last guy who beats him up. Spider-Man disposes of him. And the voice that he follows to is Gwen Stacy's father.
Oh.
Now, once you get to this page here, by the way, you never know what's going to pop up in an old issue of an old comic book. And we had a Joe Weider ad featuring Arnold Schwarzenegger.
That's awesome.
It really,
like really young Arnold.
Yeah, I think this is even before Pumping Iron Arnold. I think this is before Hercules in New York Arnold. Like, this is a real young Arnold.
I tried to watch that. I say tried. Oh, that was rough.
Oh, you gotta love the dubbing. But here's the thing. So once we get towards the end of this book, this is the big line by Gwen Stacy's father, and that is, "You have tortured yourself by trying to live a normal life, but you cannot. You must accept that fact. You are Spider-Man. It is your blessing and your curse forever, says Captain Stacy, right? So then Stacy disappears, and he wakes up. And all through his all of that was a dream, and through his dream, he kept referencing a pain in his side. So he gets up, and on the very last page, you see that he's grown 4 additional arms, 2 on each side. That was the pain in his side. And one of my favorite things at the very bottom of this last page, it says, important note, there'll be no cop-out. We promise you Spidey is really awake. He has 6 arms, and our tale will be continued next issue. That's a note from Stan Lee, my friends.
It's weird. How many legs do spiders do arachnids have?
8.
8. Yeah, and yet they gave him 6.
But it could have very well evolved into 8 in issue 101.
Mm-hmm.
No, I mean, that's the thing. Unfortunately, I didn't get to read 101.
Well,
I love
101 is also a very seminal issue. Actually,
is it Morbius?
Yep.
Especially
more
since-
important than 100, actually.
Yeah, especially since a special.
Jared Leto is now doing the title character
That
for
fits him.
Sony.
And that fits him.
Sony Marvel.
Definitely fits him.
Yeah.
It does. We'll see how it goes. I know there's a lot of Leo haters out there because of the Joker.
Right.
And because Leo, he kind of sounds a little bit douchey sometimes when he talks. I don't know him personally, so I can't judge him, but I do think he'll do a decent job
He's a
as
fine
the character.
actor.
Yeah, he's solid enough.
I will say, I just opened up here, 41 bids with 5 days left. Amazing Spider-Man 101, not CGC graded, is going for 160 right now with 5 days of bidding left.
Wow. Yeah, before that was easily just $100 book. Like, you could pick that up. And in good shape, too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, exactly. So now, and I see one at 7.0 that's $315. So yes, this is a hot book if you haven't got it, or if you do have it, make sure you do something with
Yeah.
it. So that's my 100, guys.
My quick prospecting tip for everybody out there listening on tips about that. Hydro Man. Remember Hydro Man? He pops up in the new Spider-Man movie that's coming out this year. I don't recommend trying to get it unless you can find it for cheap. And we're talking within the $10 range. I don't know so much that I would pay more than that. What I'm finding is a lot of these one-and-done villains, they're not able to sustain the value that you get with the heroes.
Therefore, you must liquidate.
Right. Now, there's going to be some, like, for example, Doctor Doom, Thanos, these types of characters could potentially come back.
They stand the test of time.
They've stood the test of time. Even Morbius is an anti-hero. He runs the line of both.
He can be reused.
Right. But, yeah, so that is my little prospecting tip.
And it's probably, I assume, a turn and burn issue. You need to sell it while it's hot because it won't stay hot.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if you're going to flip it, get it now.
Kevin, what's your number 100?
It's not as significant as yours, and I'm going to go through it real quick. And it's one of my favorite ones from the 90s. New Mutants number 100 from April 1991. Simple reason is the introduction of X-Force.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, because 98 was first Deadpool, right?
Deadpool, correct.
And 87 was first Cable.
That's correct.
So they were building the team,
They're
in
building the
essence,
team.
at that point.
Little by little.
The New Mutants were... I don't think a lot of them really made it over to the X-Force, did they? Or did they all make it over to the X-Force?
Not all, but a good chunk did.
A good chunk, yeah. Because I was going to say, I don't think all the people that were from the beginning made it clear.
Yeah, like Ileana did not make it to X-Force.
Ileana!
Ileana!
Come on, Liliana.
But, the issue's very basic. Essentially, there's a battle going on in the Danger Room, and it turns out to be Shatterstar, and he's looking for help from the X-Men and taking on Mojo and Spiral. And they decide to take him on, and he joins the team. So also be a new member of the New Mutants, which is about to become X-Force. And then Cable basically tells them, hey, guys, we're in dangerous times. We need to switch things up. We're no longer safe. So he decides to create this new team called X-Force. And this original team comprised of Cable as the leader, Boom Boom, Cannonball, Warpath, who was the brother of Thunderbird,
Yes.
Domino,
Oh, yeah.
Shatterstar, who I already said, and Feral.
It's weird that they had a car for an X-Men type character. Thunderbird, do you know? They all piled inside and drove off.
Well, named after.
Oh, okay.
I mean, that universe is just so big. I will say on a side note, though, Deadpool 2, did Domino not have the best intro to her superpowers?
She did.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome.
She did.
They do nail some things, I will say. Fox definitely, their Quicksilver version was far and above better than the Marvel Universe version of Quicksilver.
Yeah,
It's just depressing as hell.
Yeah, because I just didn't need enough reasons to hate Aaron Taylor Johnson at this point, especially after Godzilla, man.
Now, one cool thing to finish up, at the end of this issue, you see Strife. And Strife, he has his organization known as the Mutant Liberation Front. He dispatches his guys, hey guys, I need you to do a mission. He takes off his mask, and guess whose face you see?
Whose face?
Cable's face.
It's Cable?
Right, so at the time, people were like, oh my god, what's going on here? They're confused.
Right,
why am I seeing Cable's face? Of course, later on, you find out that he's a clone
He's
of Cable.
a clone from a strand of hair and created him, and he has nuclear powers.
Sounds like Superman 4, The Quest for Peace plot.
It could be.
I mean, that's a brilliant plot. I hope it is.
Yes.
A canon-produced film.
We need more nuclear men in this world, I will say.
Well, Darren is absolutely a nuclear man.
Radioactive man.
Radioactive man. Thermonuclear man.
Thermonuclear man. Okay.
Oh, wait, one last thing.
Go, hit me. Last thing.
I know you love the cover to New Mutants 100. You see those beautiful, oversized arms that Mr. Rob Liefeld draws? I know that gets you off, sir. Look at that.
It does me real good.
It's real good. And also...
It gets my dangly bits all fuzzy.
Also, a big fan of our show, also loves the work of Rob Liefeld.
Oh, yeah, Julio.
Mr. Julio.
Yeah, Julio.
Big shout out to you, sir. We know you would appreciate me shouting out New Mutants 100.
Yep, he's a Liefeld nerd for life.
Absolutely.
Liefeld lifer. That's what he is.
He worships at the Temple of Liefeld.
So I'm going to do one more real quick.
Sure.
I figure I could do that.
Squeeze it in.
Wonder Woman number 100, the volume 2. Reason why, because they did this contest of champions or whatever it was. It's a contest for the crown of the title of Wonder Woman. Diana Prince's mother is like, look, kids, we have to have a contest to see if Diana's the best. I'm sorry, we just have to do this. So the contest happens, and she loses. She loses to Artemis.
Ooh.
Artemis takes the role then of Wonder Woman. And for a very short, and I mean very short time, Artemis becomes Wonder Woman. It's kind of cool. It's a very strange thing because Wonder Woman at the time, no one took it seriously. No one was buying or reading Wonder Woman. I didn't know how it was still sustaining itself, to be honest. I thought Wonder Woman, to me, was boring. Wonder Woman was not fun. Wonder Woman was nothing I ever wanted to read. This was the first time I picked up a comic with a female lead. Like that the book was about a female. And that's an important thing to note because it was the covers that Brian Bolin did a lot of the covers for Wonder Woman, and these covers are so striking that it kind of just draws you in. And you see this contest thing that it mentions, and it shows people fighting, and it says, that Diana's going to lose, she's losing the crown of Wonder Woman, she's losing the title, and you're like, holy crap, this is like in wrestling when, Hulk Hogan or something lost the title, or whoever, loses the title to somebody else that's up and coming, and you're like, wow, what's going to happen?
It's intriguing.
So it's kind of a crazy, intriguing, cool thing that happens. So I dug it, man. I dug it. And number 100 is the culmination of the storyline where Diana wins back the title, basically because she proves herself worthy, and also because Artemis dies. So
yeah, and we give love here to female superheroes over at the Real Short Box, but you know what? They have to earn it. I mean, any
character does.
Yeah, when we discuss these issues that we really are passionate about, like these folks earn it. Trust me. So, I mean, I've given plenty of love here to Storm, who's one of my favorites.
Mistress of the Elements.
Yes, the Mistress of the Elements. But Yeah, no, that's a very interesting. I didn't know that storyline about Miss Prince. That's pretty great.
Also noted that her costume, because she lost the title Wonder Woman, she had to change her costume, and she wore this outfit that was kind of interesting. She wore a jacket with the W Wonder Woman symbol and stuff on it, over top of like a bluish black shirt and shorts. And it's funny because, and it was Mike, I can never pronounce his last name. I apologize, sir. I'm going to butcher it. Deodato Jr. did the artwork. And he's also one of the first artists that I've ever had sign anything for me. One of the first. He signed a print that they did. Him and Mark Campos did together. And it was really cool at my local comic convention in Canton, Ohio. Akron, Canton, anyway. So, and it's funny because this outfit then, later, Jim Lee does a reimagining of Wonder Woman's outfit here not too long ago, and it looked almost exactly like that one. And I was like, do we not remember in like issue 97 or 96 when this debuted? And like, am I the only one that remembers that this outfit existed? And it just, everybody was like, oh, it looks good. Yeah, there's new, Jim Lee did a good job. Yeah. No, Jim Lee did, I think he had some pretty big inspiration, and that was Mike Deodato Jr. That was the inspiration there.
Well, guys, honestly, with 100 episodes, the question must be asked. Kevin, what is one memory you've had during the 100 episode run thus far of the Real Short Box?
I have good memories of our history pods. They were a lot of fun. Very insightful.
Yeah, the history ones were a lot of fun.
And also, I can't forget our Versus pods.
The Smackdowns.
Smackdowns.
Yeah, the Smackdowns are something I think we're going to bring back. So that's a nice little surprise for everybody to hear, that if you did enjoy our Smackdowns, we will be having a few in the future.
And history ones as well.
Yep, and we do have some big history ones coming up. Some big history ones coming up.
We mean
big. So real quick, since we're still talking about 100s and stuff, Darren, what's your best memory about out of the 100? I know you weren't here for most of it, but you've listened to some, I know, and you've been here for a little while. So, what do you think?
I thought it was real. What really, I didn't know how it would go. Was the Iron Man interview that I did for you guys.
Yes.
I was, it's not that I was hesitant. I love talking about it, but I didn't know that people would really be very interested in it, because it's just one person's perspective. And it's funny, I pulled that episode up when it first, when you guys first put it together, and I listened to it with a friend from Ohio, and we were listening to it together, and I'm like, wow, I'm like educating myself right now. It was a really interesting perspective. I didn't even think. So I was like, that was probably my fondest memory. When we talk about things like that, obviously Indiana Jones, where we got to talk about something I was not only involved in, but really like something I have immense interest in. And when we can cover history and superheroes at the same time, with personal experience, that's probably my best memory overall.
And let's ask a question here. What are some of the most memorable covers for you guys on 100th issues? Like, can you think of anything offhand?
Oh, I got a good one.
Yeah.
X-Men 100.
X-Men 100. That's the one
That's where you see the old X-Men versus the new X-Men.
Right, and Xavier's in the middle, kind of like with his arms up in the air.
He's standing up.
He's like, my minions, fight, or some nonsense. It was kind of crazy.
Yep.
Yeah, that one was a good one. I like that one a lot, actually. That one really sold me on the importance of the battle there that was on the cover. I like that one a lot. I brought one out with me because it's one of my personal favorites as far as the look of it. I just always found it so striking, and it's right here. And this is Web of Spider-Man number 100. This is the first appearance of Spider-Man's Spidey armor.
Ooh,
good old
Spider
90s.
armor.
Kind of looks like Galactus
90s.
there.
Holographic cover type thing.
He looks like he fell into a vat of diamonds.
Oh yeah, the character that January Jones plays in X-Men First Class, who's with Kevin Bacon.
Emma Frost.
Emma Frost. Yeah, it looks very similar to that.
Yeah, kind of like that. Or Paladin.
A little bit.
If it was just like kind of a white diamondy look instead of, the purple pads that he has. So yeah, it's a cool one. Nothing big, really. There's nothing huge in here, but it's just and on the cover, it's a really nice green foil cover with the spider webs in the background, hollow foil. And he's right front and center, swinging in the spider armor, and in a little yellow kind of a bam, right on the cover it says, introducing the all-new, all-daring spider armor, plus a dramatic conclusion to my enemy's enemy. So I thought that this one was a really cool one. So this is one of my personal favorites, just for the 90s flair that you got with that. Did you have one, Darren?
Yeah, of course. I'm going to go with Flash Comics Volume 1, issue number 100. It's a really, really cool cover. And of course, when you have something that comes out in this time period, I'm going to have to borrow from Kevin here. I'm going to have to do serial voice for this one. The underworld defies gravity as Hawkman duels the human fly bandits. And I think it's really cool. You've got Hawkman coming through horizontally through the cover, and you've got the Hawk Bandits, or they're literally driving a little car up the side of a building. I love a lot of the Flash Comics artwork, especially cool. their older issues and their covers, and this one in particular, it's pretty easy for me to think, and just thinking how things have changed so much. The Spider-Man 100 was 28 pages. You're looking at easily, 4 to 6 pages of ads. This is a 52-page comic that is 10 cents. Now, granted, inflation was different and such, but I mean, man, you were getting so much bang for your buck. And obviously with DC, you have so many classic stories. But
I love this. You can see the gangsters, and it looks like there's a guy dressed as a supervillain in the front. He's got a cape and a little medallion on. And he's got a goatee going for him. And there's a couple penis-shaped cars in the bottom there.
That's the first thing that comes to your mind.
Yeah, well, and then on the roof over here, you got some people just pointing, hanging out. They're having a little party. Doesn't look like they have much to eat or drink, to be honest. There's only 2 red chairs.
I mean, would you grab something to drink and miss, the penis car and Hawkman?
I don't know that I would, to be honest. But this is actually a great cover. You're right. This is a very beautiful cover. It's got a lot of history to it. I like it a lot. Kevin actually said that he's going to buy it for me. I don't know if you guys heard. He whispered it to me while Darren was talking. So thank you, Kevin, for that. I appreciate it.
Sure.
Yeah, and make sure it's a first edition, Kevin.
Or just really good shape.
Really good shape.
We don't want any reprints. Don't you be getting many of that.
No.
Would you see this sometimes? People use a copy machine or something, and they'll make copies of the old books.
They try to sell it.
And then they'll try to sell it for $15 or something, or, sometimes even more than that. It's $100. What? Why? Oh, because, you buy it then. And then you're like, well, I'll just read the scanned version that somebody else posted. Sorry, buddy.
No, I'll tell you what's pretty phenomenal is that Action Comics 1 had a reprint in the 70s that is kind of pricey.
Yeah.
You're looking $70-$80, for a reprint of Action Comics 1.
Yeah, it's insane that some of those reprints can even be worth stuff. It can be even worth some money. But yeah, I think that'll, we want to be short and sweet with this one. Any other last things you guys want to mention as far as 100th issues of comics?
Fantastic Four 100. It's a pretty cool looking cover.
Yeah. What do you like about that one?
Well, you have the Fantastic Four along with the Incredible Hulk taking on multiple villains. You can see Human Torch kind of flying up in the sky. You have Doctor Doom being wrapped up by Mr. Fantastic. So it's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool cover.
Another one I really liked was when they did Wonder Woman 100. They also did the Flash 100. It's a really great cover on that one. It's got some kind of a silver foil, hollow foil on it, and it says Flash, and it says the quick and the dead, and the Flash is running in between the A and the E, like a silhouette of the Flash, which is really kind of cool. It's striking. It's very cool. Another one that I really liked was the Green Arrow, and I was thinking about the issue 100. Honestly, once I started to refresh my memory about it, all the good stuff happens in issue 101, which is really rare. It's a really rare thing. I mean, like, it accidentally happened with Morbius, you know, when 101 of the Amazing Spider-Man. But this one, Oliver Queen dies in number 101. He blows up. He's in I think it's a helicopter, and it explodes because his arm is in a detonation device, and if he tries to pull out, the plane will explode. And he just wants to get everybody out of there safe and sound. So he tells Superman to fly everybody out. And by the time Superman comes back, Superman is like, I can't do anything. If I do this, it'll explode. If I do that, it'll explode. If I do this, it'll explode. And then Ollie's like, well, you know, goodbye. And he just pulls his arm and boom, explodes in the helicopter, which was the end pretty much of Oliver Queen and the start of his son being Green Arrow. It also is at that point where Kevin Smith gets the seed of an idea for bringing Oliver Queen back for his run on Arrow, because, you know, we're dealing with the afterlife and things like that and stuff. And so that is a seminal issue for a lot of different reasons. Issue 101 of Green Arrow.
You know, and I'll tell you what, something I've just noticed over the years, you know, I don't need an original Monet hanging on my wall. Any one of these books hanging on my wall, first of all, is going to be cheaper. And I think it's going to draw my eye a lot more. And especially like these covers that you're mentioning right now. I mean, just from that point of view alone, I'm the guy that loves to read my valuable books. You know, I was rereading 100 before I came on the podcast today. And not only am I going to pat myself on the back for allowing that book to maintain its very hypnotic, lovely old newsprint smell, but I'm telling you, man, this is something that I've been starting to do over the years, is just get these things framed, hang them up on the walls, and they really catch my eye better than any painting out there, friends.
That's a beautiful thing.
I will say that comic book art is sorely undervalued and underrated as far as the mainstream culture is concerned.
It is getting better. It is improving.
It is, but not enough. There should be galleries with this. You should have your Monets and things like that, and then you should have your Sterenkos,
Jack Kirby's,
and your Kirby's, and your
Armitas.
Right, Ditkos and things like that up on the freaking wall too.
It's coming. Patience, it's coming.
I just can't wait until we get to episode 200 and start talking about our favorite 200s.
Oh my.
Yeah, that'll be good too. And then when we get to 1,000, we can talk about how I never read Action Comics 1,000.
But you're going to read Detective Comics 1,000?
Yeah, I'll probably read that. I mean, eventually. Well, anyway, with that being said, since it is such a seminal number for us, number 100, we have a very special giveaway that we're going to be doing. So we're announcing it on here, but we're not telling you what it is, because we want you to go to our Instagram page where we'll be posting this today, actually, the same time you're going to be hearing this podcast. You're going to be seeing us post about this on Instagram, and you'll have to do something special for this giveaway, but I think it's worth it because we put some thought into it.
What they have to do, Donald?
Well, that'll be revealed later.
You know, and what's interesting, too, something that just slipped my mind as we're talking about these great number 100 issues, there's one place in particular, a buddy of ours, that I think would sell a lot of these number 100s. Who might that be?
It might be the godfather of comics himself.
Oh, sorry to interrupt, everyone. Just wanted to mention real quick about a shop in Canoga Park, California called Spiro's Heroes. Elliot, the proprietor of the store, has over 300,000 books in what's called the Temple of Comics. That's Spiro Heroes in Canoga Park, spirosheroes.com.
We're back! What a great commercial. I mean, it gets better and better. I've heard that probably 75 times, and it just never gets old. Never gets old. Nope. Although I feel like we do need to have another different
and always, too, we thank Elliot for his never-ending support of this podcast.
Right. Yeah, he's a trooper, a true honor and a scholar.
And a righteous man.
And a gentleman, yes. So thank you, Elliot, and thank you, Spiro's Heroes, for always supporting us here at the Real Short Box. And with that being said, thank you for listening. Please find us on
YouTube,
Instagram.
We're on Twitter. You can also find us on iTunes as well. And maybe, if you're lucky, we'll see you
At the comic shop.
This has been The Real Short Box. We'll see you at the comic shop. Thanks for listening.